What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Deadhead Podcast, episode 25. Glad to be back. It's been a few weeks, good little hiatus, and just like I was telling Jan, I feel a little rocky, but we'll keep pressing on. So anyway, welcome back, everyone, to the show. Jan, how's it going, man?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be back. We had a bit of a hiatus, yeah, especially. So being back here, it's nice. Can we talk to you about fucking Spider-Man, dude? I've seen it yesterday, and it blew my balls to the moon and back. So I can't wait to talk about it too.
So do you have your balls back? Are they good now? They're intact?
Yeah, they're back.
Okay, good.
They had like a return policy, guaranteed.
Good. Yeah, I wouldn't want you to be like snipped before you have your first kid, so that's good.
Right? It would be worth it for this movie. It might be worth it. Though.
Yeah, you give up some balls to watch it again.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. It was funny because I think Jan had texted me messaged me like 30 minutes before I was supposed to watch it. So I think you had finished watching your viewing, and then I was literally in the theater when you messaged me and said, "Wow." Is all you said. That was what you pretty much
defined. The ticket stub,
yeah, the ticket stub, yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's we got a lot to say about it. This is gonna be a shorter show, the shorter show of an episode here because got some stuff going on. But with that being said, we get pleasantries out the way. Unless there's something special you want to say to the people since it's our first show back, we can get started on Spider-Man if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's better if we just go right into it, like balls deep, right at the gate, right at the start.
All right, go ahead. Go balls deep then. I'll allow you to go first.
All right. Thank you. So funny thing about this movie, for some reason, I was planning to see it. It's a Spider-Man movie, me being a huge Spider-Man fan, as much as you are. I was planning to see it right in the first week, but for some reason, while going to watch it, right, while I was walking down to the cinema right down my street, buying tickets and all, I wasn't that excited. I was happy, I was serene, but I was not hyped, as the kids say these days. And I think that was for the best. I think that the trailers really did not prepare us for all this movie had. So the trailers, they showed us a good promise, right? A sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which was a fantastic film. That was also a great surprise. But maybe I just went on media blackout on this movie. I don't know. But I was not prepared for everything this movie would throw at us. It's just, where do I start? The dialogues are just fantastic, right? Every single character is likable, which for a cartoon, it's rare, right? Because cartoons, of course, they got to appeal to a wider audience. So they have a lot of very colorful characters. And sometimes you have a few stinkers here and there, right? Some that they're not as charismatic, they're not as likable. Here, I can think of a single unlikable character. Like in Into the Spider-Verse, there was the pig character, which he was all right. Like, I don't want to bash him. But it was not, it certainly was one that I would rather let other characters talk into him. Across the Spider-Verse, that does not happen. Like every single time their character opened his mouth, I was happy. And what else to say? Did you see that animation, dude? Just how many fucking slaves did these guys got? How many poor animators are they keeping in their dungeon?
Yeah, dude, it's the best it's ever been, and that was one thing I was going to bring up a little later. Was like with each variation of Spider-Man, they had to redesign not only the way they looked, but how they were drawn. And then when different areas they went to, different universes, they all looked different. Like the ones that we saw, we didn't get to see all of them, but the ones we did see looked vastly different.
Every dimension had a different aesthetic. That's true, and they kind of made me realize that we did get to see in Into the Spider-Verse, we got to see a lot of different characters from different dimensions, but we were always in one dimension, which is Earth 1610, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So, but yeah, as you said, I really like that the change that at the beginning we are in Gwen's dimension, so and everything has this pastel look. The backgrounds are not as detailed; they become detailed as characters interact with them. There's a big emphasis on an emotion, right? Sometimes the colors of the backgrounds depict what the character is feeling. It really reminded me of stuff like Jolie Marot and those kinds of artists. Then you got the punk rock Spider-Man Hoagie, which he like. It's not just the dimensions are different; they are, as you said, they're all drawn differently. They're all animated differently. He's just this agglomeration, right, of everything punk rock. And honestly, most of the times I couldn't even understand everything that he was saying because everything was happening so fast, right? He was talking so fast, and his movement was so confusing to the brain. And honestly, most of the movie is like that, but in a very good way. Like it's like our brains are human, our primate brains are not developed enough to understand everything that's happening in the screen. It's just pure bliss. I was just standing there in the theater, ecstatic. Fucking static. What I was seeing, and I could not believe that. Damn, there's like 1 more hour of this, if not more. Yeah, I know I'm just rambling, but that's pretty much. I've seen this movie less than 24 hours ago, so I'm just. I'm still in the. The holy shit! I cannot believe this movie is real. I woke up today wondering, man, did I actually see that? What did I not dream that? I had to talk to my roommate, with whom I went to see the movie. I was like, man, that did happen, right? We didn't just collectively dream this thing.
Right.
And I'm telling you, dude, I'll let you finish after I do my classic exaggerated exclamation where I say, this might be, like, of all the Spider-Man, not just movies, all the Spider-Man media, this is up there with the best.
Right.
I would put it that it might be the best, like objectively, like to me, like subjectively, the best movie. Maybe Spider-Man 2. Maybe Spider-Man 2 tops it.
Right.
But this one has got so much of it.
Right.
The references too. Like, holy smokes, dude. Like, you cannot go a single shot of this game without this film without seeing something in the background. You have Insomniac Spider-Man in the background. You got,
a couple times actually.
Yeah, that's true. And you got when they're talking about how Uncle Ben is supposed to die, right? In every universe, there's a shot of Sam Raimi's film.
Toby.
Dying. It's incredible. Like, what?
There's
a shot of the cartoon of Spectacular Spider-Man. The 2007 animated cartoon.
That's right.
When they're talking about there are shots of like Ultimate Spider-Man and the whole symbiote arc. They
Andrew Garfield. They show Andrew Garfield.
They do
an actual holographic like visual of him looking over, I believe, Captain Stacy's body. I believe
because the Captain always dies. And up until they mentioned it, I did not realize that. Like, as many Spider-Man stories I read, there's always a Captain that dies. So it's I mean, in talking about more seriously about the plot, I just really like how the first movie was about this too, but the second one really doubles it down. The first one was more about what makes someone Spider-Man, right? It was a whole thing that everyone can wear a mask. It doesn't have to be Peter Parker. It's more about the symbol, right? It's obviously going to be a different character with a different story, but the spirit is what stays the same.
That's right.
What it stands for stays the same. In this one, it's more about, I feel like, it's more about the story. What makes a Spider-Man story, right? And how it's a story about sacrifice, a story about growing up, and that's why they're so focused on the whole. Yeah, I mean, if your dad's supposed to die, just let him fucking die, because that's your path. That's the story. That's what makes your story a Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
With Miles kind of trying to deviate from the norm. He going, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah, I'm doing my own. That sounded a lot like him, by the way. That was good.
Hey, thanks. So,
that was good.
That's enough. Thank you.
That
enough
was
about me. Let's.
You sounded just like Miles right there. That was really good.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That line didn't really hit me as much. I see that going around online. It was good. The way it was used, it was. He couldn't have said it at a better time, but I was just like, yeah, whatever. By the way, spoiler warning if you're watching this right now.
Right, sorry.
Too far into
I kind of went.
Completely forgot, but whatever, I did like that. I do like the line, but the way, I don't know, it kind of, I kind of cringed a bit when he said that.
Really?
I don't know. Like I didn't think it was as slick to me. I liked what he said, but it was just a moment he was
The
in
way he
when
said it.
I don't know, something about it was just corny to me. I kind of
Mm.
cringed a bit. But that's not really, that's just a me thing. That's not as bad. But I would probably just go back to everything you said. Now, one thing that you did say I'm gonna come at you a little bit on
Oh
is
God.
and I don't know why it is, and not really you specifically. It's a lot of people who have watched all the Spider-Man movies. They always say Spider-Man 2 is the best one, and I don't quite
We're gonna talk about
understand.
that now.
I don't understand why that is, because I think the first one by far is better than the second one.
Mm.
How can you sit here and say Doc Ock is better than the Goblin? I'm sorry, I'm picking the Goblin every time. Every
Well, all
single
right.
time I'm picking the
Sure.
Goblin. But anyway, I know it's a sidebar. It's not about Across the Spider-Verse. I don't know why people say the second one is the best. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, okay. So
It's great.
just to give my
It's
short-
great. It's phenomenal.
Okay,
but,
just to give
you know
my
what I mean?
short answer on it, I also agree. I also like Green Goblin and his portrayal of Willem Dafoe
Yeah.
of the Green Goblin much more than Alfred Molina with Doc Ock. Still phenomenal. And I think it's more of it's a movie. I think the best Spider-Man stories are exactly that, the very introspective ones. You know, the whole "Who am I?" right?
Mhm.
Stories. Well, am I sure where Peter Parker asks themselves, or whoever's wearing the mask says, is this really what I want to do? Do I really want to give up a normal life
Yeah.
to be pretty much what's the word?
A
A
slave to New
sacrificial
York.
symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. A martyr is what I wanted to say. Yeah. So and in the end it happens that it's kind of a Kantian choice. It's not
Mhm.
it's not really yeah, you can't choose, but it's more about you know the right answer, right?
Right.
You know that you got this power, you got the responsibility. So and I think Spider-Man 2 really goes deep into that, and that's why it resonates with a lot of people. So
I got you.
there's that.
Yeah, no, I get that, and that kind of, and again, that's not too far off what you were talking about. It definitely has that Spider-Man story we've seen so many times, but I think every Spider-Man we've seen is different. But those core moments, that has to happen, or it's not Spider-Man. You know,
That's right.
without loss, right? We don't ever get a Spider-Man. And that's the truth to it. So, anyway, what I was saying was I second pretty much everything you said. I think that the movie was amazing, nothing short of it. Is it better than the first one? I don't know.
No?
Into the Spider-Verse, I love that movie, that's still one of the best Spider-Man shots of all time, in my opinion, is when he jumps off the building into the Spider-Verse. What's Up, Danger? That song's playing.
What's Up,
He's
Danger?
got the hood on,
yeah.
and he's like diving from that building, and that's when he really officially becomes like Spider-Man. And that I think that's
hero, yeah.
that scene alone puts it over this one. Now, there's a lot of things I do like better than this one, right? And now we're just gonna get balls deep into, like we said, I really love the villain in this one, the Spot. I wish you could have seen more of him, because in the very beginning of the movie, he's kind of goofy, he's zany, and it was making me laugh. But I'm like, oh man, are they about to do a Marvel thing where they're gonna make the villain just some goofball? But then you see that twist, and when he gets real sinister, and he's like, "I'm gonna take everything from you, Spider-Man," and then I was like, "Oh shit!"
I got chills.
Yeah. No, I love that, and you know me, I love villains. Like, I'm a villain guy all day, so I was like, yes. But then you didn't really get to see him after that, so they're really gonna hold out for the third one, Beyond the Spider-Verse. I think it's what it's called. So I'm excited for that. Let me ask you this, because I didn't know if you knew or not, and I don't know much about Miles Morales's like really adversaries. Is the Spot like a new villain, or is that somebody that Miles has fought before and like something
You're
else?
asking the wrong guy, because honestly, I legit stopped reading the comics after Miles Morales showed up. I didn't have anything against him. It's just that I think I don't want to say I grew up. I think it just, life happened, right? I moved. I lost my old collection. But yeah, all I know about Miles Morales is that kind of he did it. His story is more it's more like in the video games, Insomniac video games, where he kind of has Peter Parker as his mentor for a bit, and then Peter Parker dies, And that's what Miles Morales. That's when Miles kind of realized that he has to, show up. He has to, or he has to step up. He's the only Spider-Man of New York now.
Right.
One thing that you said about the villain, and then I'll let you continue, is that back to what I said about the trailers kind of showing us a lot, but not the scope of it, is that in the trailers, they show the Spot, but it looks like, as you said, just a goofball, villain of the week is how they call him.
Yeah.
So, and they totally had me going. When I saw the trailer, I thought that he's going to only show up for the first 5 minutes, like during a recap of Miles saying, yeah, that's why I'm now Spider-Man. I beat up assholes like this every week. And in the movie also, they kind of had us going with that. And then he kind of turns out to be a much bigger threat. So I see that it didn't fool you for a second, but I was completely fooled.
No, I didn't, because I think the minute he kicked himself into his last spot that was on the ground, I was like, he's going to be something else. And then when you see him start soaking up all those spots, I was like, okay. And the thing is like when you first look at him, you're like, obviously that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to steer you away because obviously this dude's got like the worst figure you could possibly have.
Exactly.
Like the way he looks, he just looks
Full
so
on dad
goofy.
bod, yeah.
Yeah, he looks so goofy, and he's sat over here talking about his holes. That part, there was a joke that had me losing it when he was like, I think it was right after he kicked himself into that hole, and he wakes up in this construction site, and he's like, I'm gonna fill my holes with all this stuff, and then you got these construction workers up top, like, hey, dude, will you stop talking about you stuff in your holes? It's very inappropriate. Like
yeah,
I thought that was so
making us
funny.
uncomfortable. Yeah, that was good.
And that brings me to something that I think that a lot of people need to hear is the fact of these movies, while they're animated, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, and the third movie in this franchise, these are not kid movies. They're not. So stop bringing your fucking loud ass kids to the theater. Stop it. You idiot. Get a fucking babysitter. This is not for kids. There's a lot. Look, this movie had action sequences. It had all the stuff you expect from Spider-Man, but it had a lot of like story and deposition too. And I know that like me, like I matured when I was like a child. So I was like 5 years old and I was cooking for myself and watching movies and doing things, that a grown kid would do. But like kids are very rarely like that. Like in a movie like this, if I had children, I couldn't take them to it. They would not be able to sit still because there's a lot of depth. My wife was falling asleep while I was I was watching. I was like, don't even get me started on that.
Let's not talk about that.
But I'm just sitting here like, this has real deposition and story. So like, this is even though it's Spider-Man and it's like a kid-friendly hero, this is not a kid story, man, because it's more to it than just, oh, look, it's Spider-Man swinging around. It's more of like the story grounded moments.
Yeah, no, maybe if they're a little older, like, like 10, 11.
Yeah.
I'd consider. I completely agree with what you said because I wasn't like you as a child. I was a total fucking brat as a kid. And I remember my dad went to show me, we didn't watch in the theaters, but we bought the DVD as soon as it came out, of Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2, has a lot of, as you said, like there's a lot of more story, a lot more commentary and calm scenes and action scenes. And I remember I was just so fucking bored. My dad was super excited as a Spider-Man fan himself. I'm gonna watch Spider-Man 2 with my son, and I was like boring my mind off. I remember he was. So I completely agree with what you said. I think that if we saw it in the theater, it would have been a disaster, right? It's one thing to sit in the couch where you can just stretch, go get some fucking milk from the fridge. And it's another thing when you're like, our crew strapped to the chair and you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
So the full on Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. So but I mean, it's not that my theater experience was too bad, but I was just hearing that there was like a lot of these showings that come out because this was opening weekend. And so like you had a bunch of families bringing their kids out and like they were like having fits in the theater, man, because this is just not, this ain't the story. This is not the movie for this. You know what I mean? Like for the bring children.
Oh no.
It's animated, but there's adult animated things out there. This is a family, but you know what I mean?
I mean, there are some parts that honestly as a kid, that would kind of scare me, honestly. The whole Prowler thing, that's Into the Spider-Verse too. I would have fucking scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And this is coming from someone who got scared of the the final battle in The Incredibles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For some reason, that scene scared me to no end when I was a child, and I cannot. And it wasn't. There was not. And it wasn't the only one. I've heard of others that were like just. I think it's just because it's very action oriented. It's very serious. It's not very lighthearted. I think that kids are very susceptible to that. Very sensitive when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Across the Spider-Verse is full of scenes like that too. So
yeah. It's it's definitely got more of a serious tone. Which, well, like I said, with people like us, I mean, we were all for it, and I liked But just to get back to some things that I really did like the Spot a lot. Like, it's too bad that we didn't get to see him too much, but I think they're really trying to set him up. There was a scene in particular, and I don't know how much you know about it, but when Miguel, Spider-Man 2099, when he's explaining all, every version of Spider-Man, they have to go through the Uncle Ben death and then the Captain stuff. Well, he meant when he's showing like all the different storylines and all the webs, I thought for a second they were going to show Madam Web. You've heard of Madam Web, right? I was waiting for that. And she didn't show up. I was like, damn. But I was thinking with Beyond the Spider-Verse, that's an easy way to bring her into it, man. Because I think that's a side of Spider-Man that we haven't seen yet, like in a while, right? Because I used to watch like the 90s Spider-Man cartoon when I was a kid. I think it was just called Spider-Man.
Just Spider-Man.
I think it's just called Spider-Man, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
And Madam Web played a pretty big part in that show. Like she would continuously talk to Peter throughout the entire show because it was already dipping into the multiverse because she called the bite from the spider a curse, right? It's her curse. Like she was the one who started this whole thing where there's a Spider-Man in every universe and all that stuff. So I was kind of expecting her to show up, like to have a bigger part. And I mean, I don't see any reason why she couldn't show up by the third one,
And I think that she definitely will. When I got out of the theater, my friend, he right away said, "Where the fuck was Madam Web?" And I thought, so like this third movie, right? I think something needs to happen to make the plot a little bit more complicated. Because as things stand now, there is kind of an easy solution, right? They know that Miles is in wherever his spider came from. Miguel O'Hara knows which dimension that is. He talked about a Spider-Man-less dimension. They just go there, they save Miles, and then they go to whatever. Miles convinces them, and he goes to his dimension to save his dad. Pretty simple, right? I think they're gonna spruce things up a bit. They gotta thicken the plot a bit more to make it a feature-length film. Also, the whole Madam Web thing, now that you mentioned it, the spider being a curse, her being the origin of it all, might kind of give a resolution to Miguel O'Hara. Because, he's a character that, clearly has his own thing going.
Right.
And I really don't see any clear, positive resolution for him unless we bring Madam Web into it.
That's right. Yeah. Because otherwise, he looks like, and that was something I was going to get to, man. I thought that he was awesome in this movie. I thought Spider-Man 2099 he's always been a very interesting character because we know very little about him. Like there's comic series and stuff, but we haven't really explored him all that much.
Yeah.
But he was
looking from the video game,
Yeah, he was. Yeah, besides like Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions and Edge of Time, I believe. I know he plays.
I haven't played it.
Yeah, I know he plays a part in both of those games, and he's interesting, but you never really get to see him. But obviously, this is a different version of him because he's just straight up aggressive. He's going through major grief. Like and then I think what I'm understanding is that he went to another universe that he saw a family. He went into another universe to become the dad of this family. Is that what I'm understanding?
I think he became, so his counterpart in that dimension died.
Right.
He kind of stepped in. That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, that's what I was, but him doing that caused a series of events that got the family killed, right?
No, he got the dimension to go kaput. Basically, that's why he's so concerned about things keeping being canon.
Right.
Because if you diverge too much from the canon, the dimension just gets fucking turned into oblivion.
That's right. Oh yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah, when
Yeah,
he's
there's the
when he's
scene, you know, of the whole
when
city
he's
getting disintegrated.
yeah, yeah, he's
Mhm.
running. He's running with the girl, and then
Mhm.
she just disappears.
Yeah,
And so, and then another thing that confused me, and I didn't know if you had more to it or not. So, Peter B. Parker, the one who's
right.
holding his daughter, it was good to see him back. But I got a little confused there because they showed Andrew like hovering over, like over Captain Stacy's
Captain
body,
Stacy.
and then
Yeah.
it transitioned to Peter B. Parker, and Spider-Man
Mm.
99 says, we all have suffered loss. Isn't that right, Peter? And then you see Peter B. Parker shake his head like, yes, right after they showed Andrew over his body. And I was like, wait a second. You're not telling
Okay.
me that's like Andrew and he's way older because the reason why
Mm.
I say that is because in the Amazing Spider-Man 3, now that wasn't made because it got canceled. They said that Mary Jane was going to be in Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Oh yeah.
That Andrew's Peter Parker would have moved on, went to college, do whatever, and he would have met her. So
Just
maybe
like in
that's
the
kind of like
comics, yeah.
maybe that's like maybe that's like a continuation of his story. That'd be kind of interesting. But I didn't know if you picked up on that or not.
Well, okay. So my knee-jerk reaction is saying that you're reading too much into it.
Probably so.
But but yeah, sure. Why not? Because when I saw it, I really did not see it that way. I just saw it as, you know, because we know that Peter B. Parker has gone through loss, right? He still lost Uncle Ben. It could be just as well a reference to that, you know. Or maybe since Peter B. Parker, we know that Peter B. Parker was there when the dimension that Miguel O'Hara transferred in got disintegrated. He might be referring to that, like, yeah, you know that our loss, our grief, our pain is kind of is mandatory, because without it, literally the world falls apart.
Yeah, right.
Same my girlfriend, but you know, it would be cool. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Yeah, why not? I don't know. Could be.
What did you think about Miles Morales' big reveal, right? Like he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man in the first
Oh,
place.
that
What did
is.
you think about all that?
I thought it was super clever because his story in Into Spider-Verse deviated a bit from the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they did the Russell thing that the spider that bit him did glitch out. So it's not like something they came up with during the sequel. That's clearly something that they already had planned.
That's a good
So
point. Yeah.
they're already aware plans ahead. And and as they said, there was already a Spider-Man that dimension, but that doesn't mean anything. Well, I thought it was cool. Like, I didn't think too much of it. It didn't blow my mind, but I think it did. I think I liked it because not as much for the twist in itself, but for the effect that it did. Because Spider-Man is always about this story of a guy who feels alienated, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has these powers. He cannot live a normal life. He's not like everybody else, and he suffers from it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Miles, he has his Spider-Man story. He has the same arc, but in a story full of Spider-Man. So he kind of has a sense of community. So I think that this plot twist, making him kind of the odd one out, was a way to make him feel alienated, even in a story full of spider people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I liked it, you know.
Right.
This whole thing at first that they won't accept, you can never join. And we never understand why. And then they give a really good reason why. And it kind of feels, you know, there are all these Spider-Men just surrounding him. Being against him, except Hoagie, which is still, you know, maybe my favorite character from the movie. I just like him so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I was really, really fond of the twist. I really, really liked it, and it added a different, because like I was talking about it on the ride home from watching it yesterday. I was talking about how that now I'm gonna have to go back and watch Into the Spider-Verse. I'm gonna have to, because it gives it a little bit more clarity. You bringing up the spider kind of shimmering out after it bit Miles. I literally did not think about that till just now when you mentioned it, but I can see it in my head that when he bites him, Miles is like, and smacks his hand, the spider falls down, and then it does, like it's flipped over on its back and it shimmies. Yeah, is it dead? Does it die right there, or does it get back up? I can't remember.
No, it doesn't move. I always thought when watching Into the Spider-Verse, I always assumed that it was dead.
Yeah,
because it glitches out for a bit and then it just stays still.
that's right.
So
That's
I
right.
assume.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I thought that was really really interesting. That the spider, because I can't remember. Again, I have to go back and watch it, but this whole thing happened because of the reactor situation, right? Like at the very beginning of the
That's
movie
right.
when Spider-Man's fighting the Green Goblin.
There was okay, so I can explain that. So, have you ever read Ultimate Spider-Man?
No, I haven't.
That's the story where Miles Morales comes in, and it's pretty much it came out in the early 2000s. It was
Okay,
a reimagining of the original story, but it was a
right.
bit more modern, right? So Peter Parker was more of an edgy teenager. Um, Uncle Ben was more of a hippie guy with a ponytail. So it's pretty much like that, and all the villains got more or less reimagined. And Green Goblin is this fucking hulking thing.
Right.
He's not as big as in the movie, but he's still pretty big.
Oh,
He's big
okay.
as yeah. There's a scene where he's going through like a school hall. He attacks the school, and he's as big as the school hallway. He barely passes through it.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
I think that's where they got it. I think that's where they got it from. I
I
think
should have.
that
Yeah,
yeah.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say I should have known that was like a an Easter egg to a comic, because that's how they do
Mhm.
these movies, right? They don't they make some things up, like they go out on a whim and make something up. But I figured that had to be like an Easter egg. I didn't know that. That's good to know.
There you
It makes sense. It makes sense, right? Like there would have to be variations. It's just like with having the Doc Ock reveal and Into the Spider Verse, right?
go.
It's the
Right. That's true.
and when I saw her arms come out, I was like, "Oh shit, it's Doc Ock!"
Oh
Like I was
shit.
like flipping out. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I love stuff like that. I mean, especially if you're a deep rooted Spider-Man fan, you catch all these different things coming at you. You've seen stories like this told so many times, and it get a twist. That's why it was kind of refreshing to see like a new threat in this movie with the spot,
True.
because it's different. I was kind of like, man, I wish we could have saw some like if it was just like we saw the lizard or we saw just something like that. I know we saw like the Mysterio suit and we saw the live action Prowler, which I thought was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
They brought back I forgot what that guy's name is, but he
Which one?
plays the Uncle 2 Miles in the MCU. The guy, so the guy.
Are you talking about the Prowler in the movie? Yeah. Isn't
Yeah,
that Childish Gambino?
yeah. That's it. Childish
Mhm.
Gambino. Yeah, he's sitting there. He's all suited up, and he
Yeah.
shows up in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Remember this in Spider-Man: Homecoming when
Oh my
Spider-Man
god.
webs him to
Oh,
the
you're right.
to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tunnel.
He's
And then yeah, he's like, yeah, I got a nephew Miles that lives close to here. I got a yeah, dude. They
I
already
know.
dropping Miles, bro. Like they already dropping him in the MCU, which is stupid because you don't have a real Spider-Man yet, so you shouldn't bring in another
Exactly.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's really funny about that? Because I think I might have said this before, but the MCU's Peter Parker is pretty much Miles Morales.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like if it's him, it's much more wimpier version of him. He has like a mentor figure to look up to. It's Iron Man instead of another Spider-Man. When the mentor dies, he decides to step up. He has the Asian overweight best friend. Miles is Genki and Peter's is I
Ned.
forgot what it's called.
Ned.
Ned. Yeah, it's Ned. And Genki even mentions being the guy in the chair. Like
oh
in
yeah,
Spider-Verse.
that's
So
right.
the parallels are right there. So
Yeah.
imagine if Miles comes in the MCU and he's like Peter. Like he acts like Peter. Like they make a complete reversal.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. You're saying okay. So you're saying if they bring in Miles into MCU, he would act more like the Peter.
He would more like Peter. That would make sense. You can't have two Mileses.
Oh, dude. I mean,
So
Miles would be my new for sure, definitively my new Spider-Man if he acted anything like the Peter that I know. If he acted like Toby. But see, that's the thing. Like, as much as I love Toby, I like that there's different versions of Spider-Man. I wouldn't want a carbon copy, but I would want the reason why I love Toby's portrayal so much because it was so believable, it was so human. And I think that's why, like, when we do get a Miles Morales in the MCU, I know they're gonna make him a bitch, but it would be really cool if they just made him like Andrew. like the way Andrews was, like with the real quippy, funny side, but then he could get like really emotional, man. Like those emotional scenes, man. The acting, that's all I want, man. Tom Holland sucks, dude. I don't want to make that whole. Okay. I don't want to make it into that. But he freaked. Oh, did you see that they brought Tom Holland up? Tom Holland's Peter Parker up in this movie. There was an Easter egg for that.
Don't get me started. Doctor Strange, the little nerd on Earth 1.
The little nerd.
I'm so glad that they referenced him like that, because Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield get full on cameos. Well, Tobey gets kind of a cameo. Well, he just gets a mention. He doesn't pass it by. Like, let me started on that bitch.
The little nerd. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because I guess referencing what happened in No Way Home, right?
Yeah.
Because they fucked up the multiverse a bit too there.
Yeah, that's got to be what it was. But like, that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm like stepping away from the plot for a second. I just want to get your opinion on, like, do all the spider people that are in this situation, like all the ones that were chasing after Miles in this film, do they have recollection of any of this shit when they go back to their universe? Because like think about like Toby and Andrew, right? When they in No Way Home, when they those both Peter 1 and Peter 2 and Peter 3, right? When they came through the portal and they're in Tom's his universe, do they remember that shit when they go back home, or do they just forget about it?
Didn't they address that? I legitimately don't remember. I'm asking. I legitimately don't remember.
I don't remember them ever mentioning it or like explaining it. But I just didn't know if you knew.
Maybe. No, I mean, I think it's implied they do, right? Because after they trap Miles, Hoagie helps him. He reminds me to use his full hands. And then he quits, but at the end of the movie, he's back. Which kind of, I guess it means that they do remember. And also, the whole gang from Into the Spider-Verse shows up again across the Spider-Verse with all of their memories of Miles.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm guessing that they do pertain all their memories from other dimensions.
Oh, yeah, that kind of, my bad. That's a stupid question because Gwen remembered Miles. Yeah, no, I was just trying to think, because, like, think about, like, Insomniac Spider-Man, right? Like, he's there. And
does he remember?
Assumingly, he's one of the ones that was chasing after Miles. So you don't think for a second he was, like, thinking about that shit, like, when he got back home?
I got Miles back home, yeah.
well, that's the thing. Miles was there, wasn't he? The Insomniac's Miles, wasn't he?
Was he? I didn't see him.
In the trailer, he is. He's walking right next to Peter in the trailer.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. When they show the lobby. Yeah, you're right.
So how the hell do they treat that situation?
Well,
I know. I'm getting too far into it. I know.
No, but here's the thing. No. I think you are saying one right thing, which kind of makes me. It's a bit enigmatic. Like, I'm not. Maybe I didn't understand it well, but like they keep treating Miles as in he is the one. Miles is the only Miles that has ever become Spider-Man, right? Usually it's Peter that becomes Spider-Man, or a woman sometimes, but he's unique, which is really not true, because although maybe the Miles from Earth 42 is the one that was supposed to become Spider-Man. That might have been it. Because there's this whole thing. They generalize a lot, but there are actually a lot of differences. Like, there's Gwen that says, all the Gwens from other universes fall for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess she's generalizing a lot because it's obviously not true. Just think about, I don't know, Toby, Tom Holland, right? So.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because Toby's universe, Gwen was definitely she was definitely falling for
she
him.
Was into him, yeah, that's right. But they didn't have all the huge story. She was a very minor character.
Yeah.
But I guess you could make the argument that she does. Yeah, all right.
Sure. Well, I don't know what the hell Toby was thinking in that movie, sidebar, because I pick her a million times over MJ.
Over Kirsten Dunst.
A million times. And it's just because I find MJ to be so damn whiny. Like,
oh my God.
Oh, you're being Spider-Man. Why don't you stop what you're doing and come to my play? Man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Like, seriously?
And that's after accepting him. I don't know if you remember, but in Spider-Man 2, there was a whole plot point where he didn't want to tell her, about being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then he tells her, and he goes, I'll always be Spider-Man, right? So this is, if you accept me, you have to accept me like this. This is going to be your life now, right? And she goes, yeah, sure, whatever. Like the first 15 minutes of the next movie, she's just being a, God.
She's being a what? She's being a what? Come out and say it. She's being a what?
She's being a whiny woman.
Okay, that's good.
An undesirable woman.
That's good.
And honestly, and that's what's fucked up about that, because reading the comics, I loved MJ. MJ, was the cool chick, because Gwen Stacy was a nerdy one, and MJ was cool. In some Raimi's films, she's just the most basic bitch out there, fresh off a Tinder.
Fresh off a Tinder. Yeah. She's so whiny, and I'm sitting there like, man, like you got Gwen over here, man. You got Gwen Stacy. I mean,
and she was such a sweetheart too.
So sweet, man. I mean, beautiful. What are you doing?
Exactly. What are you doing with your life?
What do the kids? What do the kids say? Like he fumbled the bag. He fumbled the bag. Oh my God! Even before I started watching the movie, so the movie has been out for like what, 5 days, and I'm already seeing like memes of like Miguel O'Hare, looking all ominous and saying, "Don't worry, me fumbling the bag was canon." But yeah, so yeah, I was to go back to the whole. So Miles and that other. So by the end of the movie, when Miles gets put into that universe, he thinks it's his home, but he's talking to his mom, and mom's like, "Yeah, there's no Spider-Man. I don't know what the hell you're talking about." Yeah. And that Miles right there, I think what I was understanding was that there was a Peter Parker in that universe, though, right? He just died. Is that what I'm understanding?
I mean, that's assuming. I mean, Peter Parker does die in Ultimate Spider-Man. So Miles becomes, that's what happens. So I'm assuming, that he's dead. Or maybe since Miles never became Spider-Man, maybe Peter Parker doesn't die. Because the canon changed.
Yeah, right.
I guess we'll see him beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think that has some major implications. It's like when he went to when he was in that universe where it's like it's like India, right? It's like India culture over there, and when he saves the dad of the pretty much that Spider-Man's love interest, the captain, I guess you could say. And it pretty much he's changing the canon. Like, I wonder what's going to happen there. Are they all just going to die?
Well, from what I understood, that did do some damage. But like the problem is that when they make too many changes. That's what I understood. But the dimension was pretty fucked up. They left a huge hole on the ground.
Does it need to be
filled? I don't know.
Doesn't need to be filled.
Spot.
Those whole jokes were killing me. Sorry, the whole jokes.
Go ahead.
Were killing me, man. At the beginning, because he kept saying, "I'm gonna fill my holes with all this stuff." Like, whoa.
By the way, I looked up. The Spot is not an original character.
Okay.
He originated from the comics. Wait, this is a
minute, what?
Spotty. Yeah.
So he did originate from the comics.
He did. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of screenshots. I mean, he was even in one of the cartoons, in 2 of the cartoons. He was in Spider-Man 2017. Yeah, he showed up a bunch of times.
Oh shoot!
He's not even like.
Oh, okay.
What?
No, I thought you said that I thought the first thing you said was that he wasn't. That he. Well, sorry. Hold on. That he was an original character. Like I must have misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you meant that he was like. I thought you meant like he was a villain, like a new villain for this film. I didn't know you meant like he's actually from the source material at all.
No.
So he's actually in the comics.
And his first appearance was in '84. So.
Damn! Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're just ignorant here. I think that's what happened.
Wow. I guess I don't. I guess I don't know much about my Spider-Man lore at all because I've never heard of this guy.
Me neither.
He's got to be a minor.
Turn the light on.
Oh yeah, go ahead. He's got to be like a minor villain though, right? He has to be a minor villain in the comics.
Yeah. he's not. I mean, obviously, since he doesn't appear much, but I mean, Peter Parker had so many minor villains. You know, like fucking Big Wheel,
Yeah, he's got
or
a
whatever.
yeah. Spider-Man's got one of the best like array of villains in the entire like superhero genre
But
besides Batman.
well, I mean, this guy, this guy did. He was up in the big leagues a bit. He was killed by Tombstone once.
Okay.
He was part of the Sinister 16, whatever that is,
Oh.
like a revamped Sinister 6.
Yeah.
He was part of Modoc's 11. So I mean,
Oh.
he appeared more than once, definitely, and also,
Hmm.
he appears in the cartoon you mentioned in 1994, Spider-Man 1994.
Oh, wow, he's in that?
He appeared.
I didn't. What's he
The
look
Spot
like?
appears in a. Yeah, well, I mean, he looks pretty much, just a guy like a bit of a fitter guy with like spandex on.
Oh shit!
Wait,
Yeah,
are you looking him up?
yeah. I'm kind of just looking at. I see this one. This one is ripped. He definitely doesn't look like the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm having
Wow.
like if you look at it, look at his Wikipedia article. Like the main picture, he looks fucking menacing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I mean, I guess he's more than I thought. I thought he was just like some. Wow. Yeah, that does look menacing as hell. That main picture on his wiki page. Wow. All right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the more you know.
I gotta stop disrespecting him then. No, he
Yeah,
was.
You better.
Did you think for a second there? I had to look it up as soon as I got out the theater. I thought the guy that was voicing him was the guy that plays Spider-Man in the Insomniac games. Yuri Lowenthal.
Yuri Lowenthal.
I thought that was him.
Oh, it kind of does sound like
He
him.
sounded a lot like him, especially when he said, yeah, I'm gonna take everything from you, Spider-Man. When he says that and he just vanishes, I was like, dude, that sounds just like him right there.
Especially, I don't know if you've seen the new trailer.
Oh, the gameplay
for Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Well, not just the gameplay. I'm talking about when he gets the black suit on. He has the menacing voice.
Yeah, that's right.
It kind of matches.
Yeah, he does. He sounds real angry, which that's a whole other thing I want to talk to you about because
definitely.
I got some things with that I want to talk about. Everything looks good. It looks good, but I'm nitpicking a little bit because
you're upset about something.
No, I'm not upset. I remembered gameplay from Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and I know it's going to be a little different from developer to developer. Obviously, it's not the same people making the game, but there's some absolute wild shit you could do in the Spider-Man black suit, and I feel like in this one, I don't know. We'll see, man. I don't know. Maybe they weren't showing us everything,
Let's hope they don't show us everything. Kind of like it.
Yeah,
it's not exciting if they show us everything up front.
Spider-Man better kill somebody within the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
Or it's not game of the year.
Once he gets the black suit, though, right?
No.
Oh, no. Yeah, just straight up murder someone.
He just kills somebody, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'm ashamed. Let me put on the black suit so I don't feel as bad." And then he does it again.
That's not how it works, though.
Well, you better be able to kill somebody, right? Because if you don't, then it's a waste of space and the worst game ever made.
I admit, yeah, true. I won't even buy it, honestly.
Oh,
I'm gonna let you buy it.
Yeah. Instead of buying 5 copies, I'll buy just 2.
Only 2. Ooh, that's harsh.
Yeah, I'll show them. I'll show them real quick.
You got Insomniac fucking shivering, right? They're like, oh, yeah. Fuck. They're like watching this live stream now and going, fuck, shit.
Oh, God.
Go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, the game is canceled. We got to add the spot as the villain.
The game is postponed.
Dude, yeah, he's really cool, man. I'm really excited to see him some more. I just love a good villain. I'm excited to see where they take Spider-Man 2099. I mean, you got a feeling of what's going to transpire with that, but I hope it's some really dark stuff. I think he's going to die by the end of it. Another thing, I got a prediction for Beyond the Spider-Verse. I think that Miles, I think his mom is going to die, not his dad. I think his dad's going to be okay. I think his mom's going to be dead.
A bit of a reverse, though, eh?
Because it makes sense, right? It's gonna change. You know, they're
Mhm.
talking about changing the how everything's canon, right? One thing changes, it's like a domino effect, and
Mhm.
I feel like she'll die because I'm a Walking Dead fan, and anybody who's a Walking Dead fan knows is that when they're showing a character a little too much, that usually means they're about to bite the bullet. She had
They
a
did
lot of
show her a lot in
she
this
had a
one,
lot of
yeah.
screen time in this one, and that tells me she's probably dead.
And none of that. It was a lot of positive screen time.
Yeah,
Like she was being a bit more lenient on the when Miles was grounded. He
yeah.
told him she had the whole speech. She told him, "Yeah, you go get her, right?"
Mhm.
Oh shit! I think you're right.
Yeah,
I'm afraid you're right. I hate it when you
yeah.
do that.
Well, see that no, well, see, well, see, that's a good point too. Like her being more of that crutch for Miles, like with his dad just being just very, very strict and like very adamant about shit, and she's
Mhm.
being more like comforting. It's gonna happen, dude. She's dead.
Yeah.
She's already gone.
She's right. Already booked the call the fucking what do you call him? The
The court.
mortician.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's already got her grave dug. It's just time for her to lay to rest because it's gonna happen.
Jump.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jump in.
It's gonna happen, and it's probably honestly they might pull like a No Way Home thing, and I don't want them to do this. I hope it's more like
The
intricate,
responsibility thing.
but well, not even that. But I just hope that it's like something where Miles can't save her in time, and something happens and she dies, and I think that would be a Spider-Man moment, because everyone has to go through that moment. Even
Mhm.
Tom's version, right? Even Tom's version of Peter Parker had to go through
Eventually.
that self guilt. Like it was because of me and all that stuff. I brought
Mhm.
them to the apartment. I'm the reason why Aunt May's
You
dead.
want that to happen.
I think I'd be okay with it as long as they did it in a way that didn't copy No Way Home. I wouldn't want to see that. Like I don't want to see that
Mhm.
again. But in a situation where maybe she's just out, like she's out somewhere, and
Mhm.
maybe Spider-Man's fighting the Spot at that point, and Spot comes in, he's like maybe he gets big as shit and he's tearing up buildings and everything, and she ends up getting caught in the crossfire, and maybe he's fighting the Spot, he's able to defend him off pretty well to get him wherever, and then he looks back and she's on the ground. She just got hit.
Mhm.
Maybe has some lift some shit off of her. I could see that. Like have
Right,
to
right,
get up
right,
underneath,
right.
shove it off, and then grab
Mhm.
her and then swing away, and all the while she's already dead at that point. I could see something like
I
that.
wonder though, because Miles kind of went through that when Uncle Aaron died.
Yeah.
Because in the
Yeah.
first movie, he was the father figure. He was a
Mhm.
stand-in for Uncle Ben. The uncle figure, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and I guess, yeah, Miles did not get the responsibility speech yet. That is true. He did not get that.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a lot. Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's his final lesson, eh?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I was just saying that just with how close it seems like him and his mom are, like
Mhm.
like his uncle listened to him in a different way that his parents couldn't. Like his dad thought his uncle was just a criminal, and which he was. I mean, it wasn't wrong. He wasn't
He was a
wrong.
super criminal.
Yeah. So yeah, literally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Man.
he's criminal. He didn't want Miles around him and all that stuff, but his uncle listened to him. That's what Miles needed. And that's what we were talking about children earlier, right? Like when I was growing up, and I'm not trying to throw my parents under the table here because I was close to my mom, but my dad had a lot of, and even now, like me and my dad, we don't have a lot of we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And so when I was growing up, I went through that where I didn't really have someone that I can immediately talk to about just things that I was
Mhm.
going through that I didn't think anybody else would understand. You always hear somebody go like, I know what you're going through. No, you don't. You clearly don't. And now you can see Miles's face, like, son, I know what you're going through. And Miles was like, no, the fuck you don't. You have no idea what I'm going through. I woke up on the goddamn ceiling this morning. You have never been through that before. You know
I
what I
fought a
mean?
fucking cow before
Yeah.
coming to fucking guidance council.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Cow. Yeah. Yeah. That was fun. When he's standing there in the grocery store and that bread just falls out of his stomach.
Damn, that is.
I laughed at that. I'm
too
sorry. I
much.
giggled at that shit, man. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, that
But
was great. No, the comedy is
yeah.
good. That's what
Yeah.
differentiates this movies from like the MCU movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was funny. They made a they made a remark towards So they had Ben Riley Spider-Man in this movie too, the one that has
Yeah,
the
they did.
cut off tank top, and he's like,
Oh of course.
he's like narrating everything he's doing, like everything. He's like really somber and dramatic. And one
Okay,
of
what is up
somebody
with that?
sa- I forgot somebody says something to him, like I think it might be Peter B. Parker. He's like, "You are literally the only Spider-Man that's not funny. You don't say any quips or anything. You're just quiet." I thought that was a stab at Toby for a minute.
Well, actually, I did not understand that. Who is he?
Ben, I don't know much about him. He's just a different variation of Spider-Man. He's essentially like he's kind of like a, I don't want to say the term like emo almost, but he's kind of like just very like, he's maybe introverted is probably the right word. Like he's just a very different iteration of Spider-Man. Like I don't know. I don't know much about him. I'm sorry. I can't really give much.
No, I'm looking up. No, I thought it was like public domain, and I was fucking,
Yeah, I wasn't. I'm not too sure.
Like an ignorant kid by not knowing who the fuck this guy was.
Yeah, his suit looks pretty awesome in the movie and in the game, right? Like you can get his suit in Amazing Spider-Man, and
that's where I heard him.
Yeah, the Ben Riley suit. I don't know much about Ben Riley myself. I don't know if he exists in the same universe as Peter or not. I'm not sure.
Probably
I'm assuming
not.
he does, but but I thought that was cool, man.
You're right. Yeah, he's Earth 616. Which is the original dimension. So I guess he does. Yeah.
Okay.
A genetic clone. Oh, he's the genetic clone of Peter Parker.
Oh wow.
Who went on to determine his own identity as the Scarlet Spider. Is this from the Clone Arc? Like every time there's like a discussion of the worst Spider-Man comics, they always mention the Clone Arc as the worst thing ever written, ever done to Spider-Man. So I'm guessing he might be from that, and that's why they kept clowning on him.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure. I think that's what makes this movie so special, is because there's so many different versions of the character. But for me, as a comic fan, because I do read comics, it's too many. It's too many Spider-Man stories. That's why I don't read superhero comics. The only superhero comic I read, and I read it like religiously, was there was a story called Invincible. And it's about they actually have a show about it on Amazon.
On Prime, of course. I watched that shit. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's a comic series that I read all the way through, and I loved it because it was just one story. It wasn't like multiple variations of Mark or anything like that. Isn't it from
the same author as The Walking Dead?
It is. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I read The Walking Dead first when I was a kid, and then as I got older, I knew he'd written another like a superhero story, and I was like, oh, I gotta check that out because I love Spider-Man and Batman and all that stuff. And I thought Invincible was awesome, like all the way through. The show was good. Still waiting for season 2 on that.
Same.
But yeah. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I know a lot of the names of these different Spider-Man. I also know the costumes, but I don't really know their stories as well because it's so all over the place.
There's so much.
I know the villains pretty well. I love I absolutely love who did we mention earlier? I mentioned her name earlier and I don't remember what it is. It's killing me. She sits on the throne of webs. I literally said her name.
Madam Web.
Madam Web, that's it. Yeah, that's it. I like her because it's just interesting and to dip into that lore of Spider-Man we have not seen before. That's where I want to go with in Spider-Man from here forward. I want to go into these really weird and different places with Spider-Man. It's fine. I want to stay in New York. Like I want to see Spider-Man in New York, right? Because in Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies, that dude's barely in freaking New York. Barely ever. I don't think I've ever seen him swing around the city or anything. So I'm desperate.
He never swings, period,
No, he doesn't.
No many swinging shots at all.
No, at all. That's the thing that sucks about it, man. It's like this movie felt like true Spider-Man, dude. Like the way Miles was moving and all that stuff. It's still not as good as Andrew's Spider-Man though. Like the way he moved, right? Like the scene where he's swinging and he's like climbing up the web while he's swinging. That's like straight up like some. I mean, that's arachnophobic shit right there.
Yeah, that's underrated as hell. I mean, and also the fact, the scene when he's fighting Lizard and he's rubbing him up and he's crawling all over him.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's something that we don't see often, and this movie was kind of getting to that point again, and it just felt nice to finally get like, wow, finally I'm getting some good like
Putting the
Spider-Man
spider to
content.
the
So,
man, yeah.
but yeah, like you said, I think I enjoyed all the characters. I thought Gwen was really interesting in this one. I
Hmm.
really liked her story with her dad and everything, and it was a good film, man. I don't really have much really else to say about it. Other than the fact that it
Yeah,
was amazing.
they don't make many like them, many like
No,
those. Honestly,
no,
I don't think I've been this happy and satisfied with a movie, walking out of the theater in a few years.
yeah.
Honestly, maybe I've just been watching the wrong movies.
It could be a little bit of that. I mean, I go see movies a lot now. I might stop
Hmm.
going because there was something I was going to ask you, and just kind of wrap up the Spider-Man talk for a minute. Did you? I don't know how your movie theater is where you watch the movies, but
Hmm.
I felt like the sound was really really low at some points in this movie. Did you get that at all?
Okay, so I went to this little movie theater, who's kind of not the biggest budget place.
Hmm.
So when there were these little sound issues, I always chalked it up to, okay, I'm not like in a huge IMAX movie theater, so I'm not
Yeah,
gonna complain. But now if you say you had them too, then I guess it's not it wasn't the theater's fault.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
felt like
it was very, very, the
at
volume
the
was pretty low
beginning,
in many
at the
scenes. Yeah.
beginning when Gwen was talking, I felt like my hearing was going bad because like I couldn't. I heard most of what she was saying, but man, it had to be like dead quiet in there because I was like, "What?"
Man,
It's
I would
not.
have to rewatch that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know. The past few movies I went to go see, I felt like the volume is like really low, and I'm like, I'm not losing my hearing, aren't I? Like I'm like, But then I noticed with this one in particular, it was like really low. So I just want your opinion on it. I did see someone on Twitter say that they were having issues as well, but I didn't know maybe if that's just at the end of the day, it's subjective, right? If it sounds good to you, then that's fine. But
Yeah, no, I mean it was hearable. I just remember, but maybe it is that we're just all collectively losing our hearing. Because remember, as a kid, one of the first times I went to the cinema is to watch Shrek 2, believe it or not. And remember, I was like scared shitless at the beginning because I remember it being so fucking loud, and like my mom had to calm me down. So
Mm.
and now I obviously don't get that anymore. But I'm not an easily scared child anymore. But it might be that I don't feel like it's that loud anymore. So maybe maybe we're just
Yeah, I mean, maybe yeah, maybe it just as we're getting older, we're losing our hearing a little bit. But yeah, no. All in all, it's a solid 9 out of 10. Could be a 10 out of
Oh yeah, I
10
agree.
on any given day. Um, I don't really have anything to complain about it, man. I really the only thing I cringed at just a little bit was him saying, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing." Like it was cool, but I was like, "All right, it's little cringy."
It's a trailer moment.
Right, right. My last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you have some final thoughts on it. Was I felt that you've seen Lord of the Rings, haven't you?
Of course.
All right, so the last one is a is a Return of the
Return of the
King.
King.
Okay,
Yeah, Return of the King.
so the third one in the trilogy. In that movie, it is known for having several endings, right? Like right when you think the movie's going to end, then there's another scene, and right when you think the movie's going to end, the movie keeps going, and it keeps
Okay.
going, and it keeps going. I felt like this movie had that because there would be
Oh yeah,
scenes where I felt like it was about to end. I'm like, oh shit, don't tell me it's about to end on that. And then there's more. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool. And then it'll go for like another
yeah,
5 minutes.
okay.
And it's like, fuck, that's the end. And it's like, no, never mind. And it keeps going. I'm like, fuck, man, would this movie just end? I didn't want it to end. I didn't want it to end. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I wish it fucking would in a way because I'm like, you're anticipating me so much, and then you're just gonna end, and they end in a no. Right when they ended it, I was like, fuck, now it's over. You know what I mean?
I'll answer that with another question. Did you know already before going to watch it that there's going to be a third part?
I had heard that they were looking for a trilogy. That they were
Right?
doing a trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because now there's like a lot of discourse online about people. Some people are complaining. They're like, well, I like movies when they end, right? They like the whole to be continued shit. And I'm like, wasn't this public knowledge? I remember when they announced this movie years ago. Didn't they mention there's going to be a part two of a trilogy? I remember hearing that. I even remember people calling it Spider-Verse Part 2. As in,
Yeah, I think that I don't know if I've seen anything like specifically from like any of the creators of the movie, but I had assumed that the way the story was going, this was going to be a 3-parter. Because I mean, how can you fit every version of Spider-Man into one film? I mean, we saw like damn near like at least half of them, right? There's way more than that. So like, I feel like, and again, I'm just, this is my prediction here. I feel like Madam Web has to come into it in some way, shape, or form. I feel like she has to. So
well, you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I mean, if it's not her, then it's some other great thing, because you cannot have like 2 movies that are like full of these surprises, right? The whole female Doc Ock thing, the Spider-Man's death in the first movie. In the second movie, it's just a fucking each one surprise after the other. You gotta keep it up, right? You can't just fumble on the third movie. So I think that is fully, we don't gotta worry about that.
Yeah. Well, it only makes sense, right? That's like the natural progression things. But yeah, no. Other than that, it just felt like the movie had like several endings, and it wouldn't end. So anyway,
I had the same thing actually. Yeah. I mean, because like as I said, that's what I asked, whether you knew it was going to be a 3-parter, because it came to a point where like the movie was reaching the 2-hour runtime, and I was like, okay, so they're gonna put a to be continued right now. But the movie kept going on. I'm like, all right, we got a bit of a mellow scene now, to be continued, and it kept going on. I'm like, holy shit! I guess, and they're building up to the big reveal of okay, and Lil Nas X playing in Miles Morales, aka Prowler.
Yeah, like when Miles jumped off that rocket, when he jumped off the rocket, and then Miguel followed right after. I thought it was gonna cut the black right there. I was like, okay, this is it, and then it didn't. I'm like, damn, really?
Yeah. And then there was like the whole mellow talk of like Gwen saying, "I'm going to find him," and I thought, okay, this is it. But no, it kept going.
It kept going. Yeah. Yeah. So, go ahead. What are some closing thoughts for Across the Spider-Verse?
All right, closing thoughts. Honestly, I think we're living in a time where it's great to be a Spider-Man fan. This is something that I also said as walking out of the theater. I said, I feel sorry for every single soul on this earth that is not a Spider-Man fan, because we're eating so good. This stuff is, if you told me like, fucking little 10-year-old me, then there's going to be a Spider-Man movie like this, I wouldn't have believed him. In the same year, like a Kick-Ass Spider-Man game would come out, I'd be like, nah, who the fuck are you? What are you talking?
Yeah.
Spider-Man bullshit. So I think, man, I'm just really happy about all the Spider-Man content we've been getting.
Yeah, it's a good year, and like you said, we're eating well, and I'm, I think as we're getting closer, I know I've had my thoughts, and I know you've looked at me like side-eyed sometimes. Like as we get closer, I will be more excited for Spider-Man 2. I'm just kind of, I don't know. Like I watched that gameplay trailer, and I know we gotta have to end the show here shortly, so we can't go too far into it, but I'm seeing the gameplay and it looks good. It's day one buy. Like I said, I'll probably buy it twice, one physical, one digital. You know me.
But and then we'll see from there.
I'm just not. I'm just not as excited for it as I wish I was. I'm just not. I'm not like over the top excited, because like going into Across the Spider-Verse, I was like you were saying, you weren't really that excited, like as excited for it. I was anticipating it because I love the first one so much. I knew this one was going to be great, but like with Spider-Man 2, it will be polished to 10, hopefully, right? We've been getting games here lately that are not finished, but Insomniac is one of the best in the business. I feel like I'm sure it'll be great. The gameplay will be fun because, dude, the Spider-Man games are fun as hell to play. So why do I expect any different? The graphics look phenomenal. Being able to use the black suit, that's great. Seeing Kraven the Hunter as like one of the main villains of the game is gonna be sick. Venom, I don't think Venom's gonna play a huge part into it, but anyway, that's a whole other thing. I don't know. I'm just not super excited for it. Not as excited for it. I'm more excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm more excited for Final Fantasy 16. I'm more excited for Mortal Kombat 1. I'm more excited for Assassin's Creed Mirage. What's another one? Oh, Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2. Which, by the way, have you heard?
Yeah.
We can just handle on this. No physical edition for Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard
what
that.
Is that? Are you fucking kidding me? I've never been so upset.
Yeah, dude. When I saw that, I thought about you because they said something like, in order for them to keep the game $60 or something, they had to make it digital.
You.
I'm like,
fuck you. You know what? As if cowards.
Cowards. It'll come. Look, honestly, do you think that'll last forever, man? Eventually, it'll come out on disc. Eventually,
but the fact that even there, you know, the fact, and what am I supposed to do? I cannot play it on day one. I gotta be like you, fucking buy the game twice. Once digitally, so I can buy when it comes out, and then another time when they finally grow the balls to get the.
You already know. Copy. Yeah, just shut up. You already know that's not true. You already know that's not true. I'm not going to disclose it here, but you already know that's not true. You do not have to buy that. Okay,
trust me. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, no. As far as that, no. Listen, I think for them being a AAA who makes Alan Wake games? It's a
Remedy.
That's it.
Okay, Remedy and Epic Games, I think, is the distributor. So what game are you playing? Honestly, they got every time that a new Fortnite expansion comes in, they get a fucking, I see it at GameStop every time, a new physical fucking Fortnite, cover with no game in it because fucking digital download for every single update. But you can make one release for Alan Wake 2, your big revival of your great franchise. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Like with them being, because I forgot that Remedy has developed. Yeah, with as big as they are, there's no reason why they should not have a physical copy. Like I was thinking, maybe they might be doing like the Sifu route, right? Have you played Sifu? SIFU.
Yeah, I got. I got it.
Yeah, it's a great game. Great game.
Fantastic.
But it took a while. It took a while for them to do a physical release, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen them in store. I ordered mine offline. I had to get mine from like Amazon or something.
But you see, at least that is like an indie title. So at least I can understand that. So they see if there's a market for it, if there's a lot, because if people on this console play it a lot, and then they got physical. I get it, understand that. There's literally no excuse for that for a Remedy, like none, nada, zilch. They released a physical copy, a physical edition of Alan Wake Remastered. So, but not for the sequel. Like what? You know what? I'm
gonna cut up this part of the episode, and I'm gonna tag Remedy in it. That way you can give them a
good.
Well, dude, I know I've been dying to talk to you about some games. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to shut it down for the day. But we'll be back. But we'll be back for another episode. We got a whole lot of games to talk about. I believe another showcase is coming. I think is it the Xbox showcase?
There's the Summer Game Fest.
That's right.
You mentioned Rebirth. You know what they're doing on all the social media platforms? They're releasing, starting from like 2 or 3 days ago, they started releasing one interview question and answer each day. Right.
Yep, I've been seeing them.
And it started like 3 days ago. It started 7 days from Summer Game Fest. It's FF7. It's probably going to be 7 questions, and then maybe a reveal at Summer Game Fest. Maybe.
Dude,
we can hope.
I'm all for it. I already have Final Fantasy 16 pre-ordered, so that'll be a day one play. But I'm most excited for that one. I think I'm more excited for that than Spider-Man, to be honest. Like if Final Fantasy wasn't coming out soon, it says the winter, so I don't know. That could get delayed. I don't know, but
winter could be fucking March.
That's also true. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be March. Yeah, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's like maybe also it's like February, like mid-February. That'd be great.
Yeah, for my B-Day.
As long as it's finished, right? As long as it's finished.
As long as it's not Jedi Survivor. Dude. Running at fucking 35 frames per second.
Dude, don't talk about my game like that.
I like the game. I love it too. I really like it. let the record show I like the game. The game is just technically flawed. It's not part of the game problem of the game's problem of it being released too early.
Yeah, it's got a bad case of that. But
Yeah.
anyway, well, look, we cannot get into these conversations because I'll be talking.
You're right.
But we appreciate everybody checking us out on the Deadhead Podcast today. Let us know your thoughts down below on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm sure at some time either you or myself I'll try if I can to try to chop up some of this stream and go to different segments we talked about because I really like doing that. I am going to do the Remedy thing. I think this will be hilarious. Tagging Remedy and what you were just saying about Alan Wake.
Please
that
do it.
shit's
Please
funny.
do that.
Who knows? They might bless us with a free copy or something, man.
Imagine that.
All right. Well, look, I got some family calling me right now. So with that being said, I'm gonna. That's all right. I went ahead and ended the call. But anything else you want to say to the people, real quick, Jan, before we leave?
Yes. Alan Wake 2 physical or we riot.
Let's do it. Let's riot. Anyway,
right.
Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Like and subscribe. We really appreciate you. And with that being said, stay dead, my friends. We'll see you in the next one.